Welcome to the Whissel Way podcast. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with eXp Realty in San Diego. Today, we got a really special guest. This is somebody I've been building a relationship with, getting to know a lot better. We met through a group called the Boardroom, which is the premier group for real estate investors. All across the United States, I think up into Canada, probably all over the world before this thing, before too long, it's going to be the premier group for the entire world of real estate investment led by Kent Clothier. But I'm excited, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Excited to be here today, my fellow Southern California brother. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, let's just jump in because you got a really cool story about kind of where you came from here in Southern California, making it to the league, and now you're building some really cool stuff. So let's kind of start from the humble beginnings down here and maybe the not so picturesque part of Southern California that everybody think of. So share a little bit about kind of where your journey started, down here.
Sure, yeah. I remember at 4 years old, my dad put me in T-ball at Rancho Cienega Park, right by Dorsey High School. We lived walking distance, and that was literally like my first childhood memory was my dad putting me in T-ball. And he was my Little League baseball coach for 10 years. And, later on in life, he told me it was intentional because he wanted to occupy my time and keep me, away from just the tragedy of the drug game and, living through the crack epidemic and things of that nature. So he and my mom had a game plan for my brother and I for us not to be victims. So really kind of started playing Little League baseball. And then once I was 14, I started growing a little bit more. And my best friend, Josh Oppenheimer, convinced me to start playing basketball. And I was terrible. I was terrible in the ninth grade. I was terrible.
Well, you didn't start till you were 14?
I didn't start playing seriously. I didn't play AAU till I was 14 years old. I was terrible.
That's wild. So wait, hold on. Just if you guys are listening to this, right? Jason made it to the league and had never played competitive basketball until 14. So it's never too late, guys.
Never
14.
Too late.
Right. I got all these friends right now. Their kids are playing sports and they're 6, 7, 8 years old, and they got practice 3 days a week, and then they have hitting coaches 2 days a week and pitching coaches. It's crazy at 8. You can start at 14, guys, and make the league. I'm just saying.
Yeah, as long as you're doing something athletic, even with our 3 kids, they play different sports. As long as the kids are doing something athletic, then it will transition over into other sports that they play. So yeah. I was terrible. I was like a 6-foot power forward that couldn't dribble or shoot. I just played defense and rebounded. And I would play in the schoolyard and stuff like that, but I didn't get serious about it till 9th grade. And fast forward from 9th grade to 12th grade, I ended up being a top 60 player in the country, over 100 different scholarship offers, Division I scholarship offers. And Coach Calipari convinced my mom to let me go 3,000 miles away from home to the University of Pittsburgh, and where he was the assistant coach. I was in his last recruiting class before he got his first head coaching job at UMass. And it's been a very special ride. Still real close with Coach Cal and my son and Brandon and I. Brandon's a college basketball team manager. We were in Fayetteville twice this year, and Brandon had a great time. I had a great time. It was real special. So, Arkansas, Pig Suey. We learned about Pig Suey and all that good stuff. Got to see some good SEC college basketball. So it was a lot of fun.
Nice, man. So you obviously are watching this whole NIL thing that's happening. I'd love to get your opinion because obviously it did not exist back then. Now, of course, there was things, you were recruited by 100 different schools. So I got to imagine, right, this is being recorded, so we're not going to admit to anything here. But I got to imagine if you had 100 schools coming after you, maybe somebody might have offered to help a little bit here or there. But now it's all mostly above board. But what's your thought on this? Especially in basketball, it seems like, every year the kids are going to a different school. We sponsor San Diego State Aztecs here in San Diego. made the championship a couple years ago. But it's like, we're kind of a mid-level team here in San Diego. And so every year, all of our best guys, they get, Lamont Butler went to Kentucky, Elijah Saunders went to Virginia, right? Like, we're losing our guys to the Power Four conferences, but then we're also taking guys from the smaller schools and from the JUCOs. So, like, how do you feel about this whole NIL thing?
I love it. I mean, I really love it because I've always felt the players deserve to have the same mobility as the athletic directors and the coaches. For the longest time, an athletic director could be at a school for 1 year and move on for a better opportunity, or a coach could be at a school for 1 year and move on without penalty for another opportunity. So it really levels the playing field. And without players, you don't have a game. So you need the players to have the game, and so therefore the players deserve to have some of this balance of power, and I love seeing it in college sports right now. I love it, and even me, growing up in LA, my best friend I spoke of, Josh, he and I were UCLA ball boys when we were in like the 7th grade, and I would see, women in business attire, men in business attire, sitting in the stands with the former UCLA players. And I didn't understand the relationship until I started getting recruited when I was in the 10th grade, and I heard this word, alumni. And so once I learned that, once you're done playing at a particular university or whatever, the alumni is to open doors for you and help you get started in your career. So when I came into college, I was ready to start working with alumni, and I was collecting business cards. And then, Pitt, we were ranked, my freshman year, we were ranked in the top 5 in the country. And so I viewed it as a marketing opportunity for me, my name being written up in newspapers, I'm at the free throw line, a headshot. And I always said to myself, how much is this really worth when it comes to ad dollars? Like really, how much, would it cost to put an ad in a newspaper, or we're on CBS, we're on ESPN. So throughout my college career, I really understood the benefit and the power of this exposure, my name, my face, where I'm from, all that kind of stuff. I always viewed it as a positive for my future business career. So I really love the NIL where we are today. These players deserve to make the money that they make, the men and women, college athletes. They sacrifice their bodies, and it's just a balance of power and revenue share, and I love to see it.
How hard do you feel like it is to change teams every year, like a lot of these guys are doing, as they go from JUCO to a mid-major to Power Four, like they work their way up this ladder? Like, how tough is that every year to, like, new coach, new teammates, new system, right? How's that as a player?
I love it because it's reality. We coddle our kids until they hit the real world at 22, 23, 24, 25, and then they have this big shock of, I didn't know the real world was like this. Well, we're introducing the real world at a younger age, which I think is great, because this is no different than the MLB system. You play single A, you play well enough, you get bumped up to double A. You play well enough, you get bumped up to triple A. You play well there, you get bumped up to the majors. Like, that's the process we're in right now. So you can start out at JUCO, or you can start out at NAIA, and if you play well enough, you get bumped up, and you make more money. So I love it. I think it was needed. Coaches that can coach can coach. If you can coach, you can coach. Yeah. That's if you can coach, you can coach. So I get that I'm talking about on the basketball side, we've had some of the coaches retire saying they don't like the new system or whatever, and that's fine, that's their option. But a lot of coaches have embraced it and understand it and have hired general managers, and University of Florida just won the men's championship. They used analytics, they put a team together, and they won a championship. I got to see them play 4 times in person over the last 2 seasons. Twice when they played Kentucky 2 years ago, Coach Calipari was there, and twice when they played Arkansas, and then my best friend Josh is an assistant coach with Oklahoma. So I got to see Florida play four times the last 2 years, and they had a mix of players. Their best player, Walter Clayton Jr., was on the team both years, but they won a national championship. So it can be done. And to your point about the kids of San Diego State, we have that same challenge here at University of South Florida. You know, my son Brandon just finished his 8th season as being a team manager at University of South Florida. 2 seasons ago, I should say, player moved on to Louisville, player moved on to Alabama, player moved on to Maryland. Our 3 best players moved on to Power 5 conferences. And with this past USF year's team, we had our point guard move on to the Big Ten. So you play well enough, you know, you get bumped up. So I love it.
Yeah, but then, you know, in the real world, right, you start off at a company. I mean, there's so many stories of somebody who started off as like a janitor, as a busboy, right? And they started, now they're managing the restaurant, right? Or they're running a restaurant chain. And it's like, you know, same thing. You're busboy, and then you become the bartender, then you become the server, then you're a manager, and then you own the damn restaurant, right? And then you start other restaurants. So I get it, you know, that's prepping people for the real world. It's the real life. Like, cool, you got this busboy thing figured out. Now you're going to do the next thing. So yeah, it tracks in the real world. Cool. Well, let's talk about then the transition from college to the NBA. How'd that play out?
So the nice thing about high school basketball in Los Angeles, you find out real soon if you're going to be an NBA player or not, because the level of play is so high. So for me, just being really candid, my experience was very surreal. It was a very, very surreal experience. So at 14, I get serious about basketball. And then my senior year, I'm an all-CIF player. So I'm like first team all-state CIF and a top 60 player in the country in a matter of 4 years of hard work. Then I arrive at Pitt, and I didn't expect to play much as a freshman. I know I played some, but what happened is the starting backcourt became academically ineligible. So Sean Miller and I ended up being the starting backcourt because we needed a point guard, which was Sean, and a shooting guard, which was me, and then our third guard was freshman Darrell Porter. So the 3 of us had to play. So Coach Calipari would have us up at 7 a.m. doing individual instruction, saying, you guys aren't going to embarrass me. You're going to be doing individual instruction because you guys have to play, so you're going to be prepared to play. So that's what happened our freshman year, and we were ranked in the top 5. And we ended up winning the Big East regular season championship, and it was like a surreal experience. I'm like, wow, I'm starting on a team that's top 5 in the country. So it was very exciting. Yeah. Played with 2 first-team All-Americans, 2 NBA first-round draft picks, Jerome Lane, which is one of my favorite teammates of all time, and Charles Smith was the other first-round draft pick. So for me, it was like, don't turn the ball over, make the open shot, and stay in front of your man on defense. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple when you have 2 first-team All-Americans that you're playing with. So I would say, you know, my sophomore year, Jerome and Charles moved on to the NBA, so really it was on our recruiting class, which was Sean Miller, myself, Darrell Porter, Brian Schroeder, and Bobby Martin. And Brian and Bobby were McDonald's All-Americans. So the 5 of us were Coach Calipari's last recruiting class at Pitt before he became the head coach at UMass. And we were all close. We were all tight and ended up making the NCAA tournament our sophomore year. I went from like averaging 8 points a game to 19 points a game. And I was just enjoying college and didn't have any thoughts of the NBA or anything of that nature. I was just playing, having a good time. And so the summer between my sophomore and junior year, I got invited to play on the USA team, which was very special. It was an Olympic qualifying tournament in Mexico City with a lot of great players that went on to have great NBA careers. And so at that point, I started to see like, okay, I can compete a little bit with these top players, and I was like, okay, going into my junior year, let's see what it looks like. Had a good junior year, and at that point, I kind of started hearing some NBA prospect whispers. Some agents start reaching out to my high school coach and some other basketball people in Los Angeles, and I was just playing well in the top conference. And then by the time I got to my senior year, I had already made all Big East my sophomore year and junior year, and I had made Big East all freshman team my freshman year. So I was an award winner like 3 years in a row in the conference, and got to my senior year, had a good senior year, and made all conference again. And unfortunately, my draft year was the first year that Michael Jordan won his first NBA championship, which was 1991. So we're all at, the NBA pre-draft in Chicago. I got invited to the NBA pre-draft combine in Chicago. And all the shooting guards that were like 6'5" and shorter, once we saw Michael Jordan like killing my Lakers, like we knew it was over, because the NBA is a copycat league. So if you weren't at least 6'5" as a shooting guard, you better be a point guard, or you weren't getting an NBA. Like, it wasn't going to happen. So I remember being at the draft combine. I think originally 5 or 6 teams asked to interview me, but after Michael Jordan showed that he was going to be champion, it went down to 2 teams that interviewed me. And draft night, once we got to the second round, there was one team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, that really liked me a lot. And it came down to me and a friend of mine, Myron, that played at Slippery Rock University, a Division II school in Pittsburgh. And Myron was much more athletic than me. I was more on the skill side. They selected him instead of me, which didn't bother me. I was happy for him. But something surreal happened the next morning. So the next morning, I'm at my mom's house, and I'm just relaxing. I'm not upset. I'm not mad, whatever. I knew teams would be calling to ask me to come play NBA Summer League or whatever. So my mom answers the phone. She's talking on the phone. I'm in the other room, and she's like pointing at the phone, like telling me to come here, and she's mouthing someone's name, and I really can't understand what she's saying. So I walk over to her, and she's in this conversation, and she's like, yeah, Jason's right here. And so she hands me the phone, and she's like, it's Jerry West. And I'm like, wow. It's like,
Yeah.
So I get on the phone. He's like, Jason, Jerry West, been watching you since high school. I don't know if you remember me coming to your high school games. I'm like, yep, I remember you being at our high school games, our summer league games, because Jerry West would come to high school games in LA. Jerry West would go to high school summer leagues in LA, scouting the next set of players at the high school level. So we all knew who he was. We all knew who we were. So he's like, been watching you since high school, this, that, and the other. We would love for you to come and play NBA Summer League with us. And if you play well enough, then you'll be invited to veteran camp. And I'm like, this can't be real. My hometown team, I get the opportunity to come and play NBA Summer League with my home. It's like terrible in the 9th grade. Fast forward like to 21 years old, and Jerry West is saying we would love for you to come and play NBA Summer League with the Lakers. And my dad took my brother and I to Lakers games when we were kids all the time. Me and my best friend Josh used to go to the Lakers games and all that. We knew Magic and Byron Scott and Worthy because we used to go up to the UCLA men's gym and play, and that's where they played. So we knew a lot of the Lakers, and it was surreal. So I get to LA, and my high school friends, my Little League baseball friends, my family, I have like a whole rooting section, and this is when the Summer League was in LA before they moved it to Vegas. And I played really well, in NBA Summer League. And they invited me to come to veteran camp, and I actually still have my signed contract that Jerry West signed, my non-guaranteed rookie free agent contract. I still have it. So
That's
went to
amazing.
vet camp and didn't make the team, got cut, but the coach at the time, Mike Dunleavy, pulled me aside and he's like, Jason, let me tell you why I'm cutting you. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. He's like, what year do you think I made the most money I ever made in my life? I said, probably when you played for the Rockets or the Bucks in the NBA. He goes, nope, nope. He said, I made the most money in one year. He said, I made almost $1 million, like 996,000 or something. He said, working on Wall Street as an investment banker. He said, you don't have to do this. He said, you're going to make more money as a businessman than you will doing this. And I was like, I took it in. I wasn't mad. I took it in. Thanked him for the opportunity, whatever. And then at the time, I had been working out with Byron Scott to get ready for NBA Summer League and vet camp and all that. And so Byron Scott pulled me aside as well and pretty much told me the same thing. And a very surreal story that I'll share with you is I always bump into Byron at NBA Summer League. So still good friends with him, follow each other on social media. And I had my daughter with me, my 22-year-old daughter, Taylor. She was 20 years old at the time, 2 years ago. And I'm like, it's one of my mentors, Byron Scott, played with the Lakers, trained with him to get ready for vet camp, told her. And I'm like, he said to me when I got cut that I would make more money as a businessman than a player. And then Byron Scott looked at me and said, Jay, was I right? I said, you were right. He said, I told you. So just fond memories of that experience.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to be Byron Scott's rookie flunky, and we're have our meeting before we start training camp, and all the veterans are picking their rookies, and Magic goes first. And Magic goes, I'm picking first. I'm picking this rookie because they got a little bit too comfortable with one of our veterans, and I know that the veteran's going to take it easy on this particular rookie, so I'm going to pick the rookie. I know the rookie, but the rookie's a little too comfortable. He goes, Jason, you're my rookie. I was like, I was supposed to be Byron's. He's like, no. You guys are too buddy, too friendly. He's like, nah, no, you're my. So I had to get up at 5:30 a.m., be at Magic's front door with orange juice and the Wall Street Journal. And he would open the door, he would snatch it out my hand and slam the door in my face.
So welcome to the league,
Welcome
kid.
to the league. And I still see him on the business circuit sometimes, and we always laugh about that experience, and he continues to encourage me as a real estate investor and a businessman. So I've known Magic for a long time.
Nice.
Byron Scott, really, really great guys.
Well, let's talk about that, right? You made this transition from the court to the closing table. So once you transitioned out of the league, how'd you get into the real estate space?
Yeah, well, there was one short step in between. So after I didn't make the Lakers, I played in the G League. Then came back the next summer, and Mike Dunleavy had left the Lakers and went to the Milwaukee Bucks. And he had a very, very terse conversation with me. He's like, this time you're not getting invited to veteran camp. You'll be on the summer league team. You'll practice, but I doubt if you'll play. He's like, because I told you, you'll make more money as a businessman, but here we are again. I said, Coach, I'm just chasing my dream. He goes, I get that, but I gave you the answer. But come on, let's get to practice. Let's get going. So anyway, he played me one game out of 7 games in the NBA Summer League, and it was intentional to get me to move on. So I ended up playing a season in the Philippines, had a great life experience. And when I was over there, I knew I was going to retire because I told myself if I didn't have a guaranteed NBA contract within 2 years, I was going to move on. And my brother's best friend was an investment banker. So I used to intern with him in the summertime at investment banking firms. So I got exposed to the capital markets. And my buddies in LA, they out partying, having a good time in the summer. I'm waking up at 3 a.m. to be downtown LA on the investment banking desk because it's a 3-hour difference. So
Right.
I'm leaving work, headed to UCLA to work out, to lift and hoop. And then after that, my buddies are going out, having a great time, and I'm going to bed at like 9 because I got to get up at 3 a.m. to go to my summer internship. But it paid off, though. It paid off for me. And then another great story I'll tell you is my senior year of college. We're in the Big East tournament. We lose on a buzzer beater to Seton Hall by 1 point. It was bad. It was bad. It was really bad. So after the game, shower, put on a suit and tie. Everybody's asking, like, Jay, where you going? You dressed up like, where you going? I said, I have an interview on Wall Street. So my brother's best friend has set up an interview for me with Merrill Lynch on Wall Street. And so I show up to the office. The lady is like, the front desk, like, Jason Matthews, like, we had you down for a reschedule. I'm like, I'm like, can you double check? She said, yeah, let me double check that because we had you on the schedule to meet with our managing director, but they rescheduled it like about an hour and a half ago. So she goes back, she comes back out, and the managing director comes up and goes, Jason, we didn't expect you to be here. Come on back. And I'm expecting like a hour and a half, 2-hour grill session because that's what my brother's best friend had me prepared for. Ended up being a 15-minute conversation. And what they said to me was, we just watched what happened to you. You lost your last Big East tournament. You lost on a buzzer beater by 1 point. We absolutely didn't think you were going to show up, and we would have understood if you wanted to reschedule. And they said, for the mere fact that you showed up prepared in your suit and tie and your briefcase, we're offering you a job today on Wall Street. We're not pressuring you. We know you have to go through the NBA draft process and things of that nature. But if you decide you don't want to pursue basketball, we want you to know, given you just showing up, we're offering you a job here with us on Merrill Lynch on Wall Street.
That's amazing.
So
I remember I interviewed with them when I was in college, and the whole interview was they put me in a room, they gave me like a notebook and a phone, and they're like, research these 3 stocks, and you're going to call these 3 people, and you're going to pitch these 3 stocks to them. And obviously it was all like a mock phone calls, role plays. But that was the interview. I was like, holy shit. There was no like getting to know each other. That was the first thing. It wasn't like, hey, what's your background? What's your story? Like, go in this room, research, make these calls, and then we'll talk to you. Like, it was a wild experience.
They do it totally different. It's not your standard interview. And I just walked out of there shocked. I was shocked that they were surprised that I showed up, and I was shocked that they offered me the job. But my parents, my older brother, my family, my mentors, I wasn't going to embarrass my brother's best friend that got me the interview. I was showing up. I was absolutely showing up. But it was a great experience, going through that process with Merrill Lynch, and ended up playing. And then I became a licensed financial planner, and had 2 options in Pittsburgh, and kind of went with the financial planning firm where you could build your own clientele, rather than working at PNC Bank, which a lot of great relationships at PNC Bank, and I appreciated the opportunity. And Jim Rohr, the former CEO, was a mentor of mine, great guy, but I just felt like I wanted the flexibility to go out and build my own clientele, and I did, and that's how I got bit by real estate. But a funny story is, within the first week of starting as a financial planner, my agent calls me. My agent, Eric Fleischer, is like, Jason, the Knicks are willing to offer you a $100,000 guarantee on a free agent contract just for coming to camp. think about it for a couple days and let me know what you want to do. I'm like, I just decided that I was done, and this happens, and I'm like, so um, I called, talked to a lot of my closest family members, friends, asked them what they thought I should do, and my dad reminded me of something. My dad said, "You have done everything in your life to this point that you said you were going to do. Everything you've told me that you were going to do, you've done. Graduated from high school with honors, college degree. You've done, like everything you said you were going to do as a kid, you followed through." He said, "You said that if you did not have a guaranteed NBA contract within 2 years, that you were done." And then he just hung the phone up. And I turned it down, and you know, I stuck with what I said I was going to do. And being that financial planner, my wealthiest clients were going out and doing real estate deals and coming back to me and putting money in their kids' and grandkids' college funds. And that's when I realized I was in the wrong business.
So yeah, let's jump in. I mean, there you actually have a video series called "Building the
Yeah.
Bay." Like you guys are doing some really really cool stuff down there in Florida. So let's talk about what you guys are doing in the real estate
Yeah,
space.
yeah. Been at it 30 years. You know, my wife and I, real estate investors full time. All three kids are involved as well. But we build luxury beach homes in Reddington Beach and operate them as short-term rentals. And we have three different floor models: 4,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet, 1,800 square feet. And families love to come and stay. We've completed three of the 4,000 square foot ones already. We have another three on the way. And then we own another 25 that we haven't torn down yet. And so we'll have a mix of the different floor plans, and we'll have this portfolio of luxury beach homes that families can come and stay and have a good time. And we've had women do yoga retreats, we've had guys do golf weekends, we've had family celebrations, we've had a variety of guests, and they love it. They have a great time. We're about 35 minutes from the Tampa airport, and Reddington Beach is a really cool beach community, right in between Clearwater Beach and St. Pete Beach. Reddington Beach is kind of right in the middle, and community loves what we're building, and we love what we're doing, and we've had a lot of people support us. We have funders that are involved in our deals, and we just make it a real nice situation for all parties involved.
And so you guys are taking existing single family homes and then tearing those down, building new ones, high end, and specifically focused on short-term rentals?
Correct. That's exactly what we're doing.
Okay. How'd you guys decide on like that? That's a very specific niche, right? It's Reddington Beach. It's single family into luxury, short term, which is great, right? They say like the riches are in the niches. Like, how did you decide on that specifically?
Well, that's a great question. So Reddington Beach, people have been coming to that stretch, that 27-mile stretch, for over 100 years. So we didn't have to do any marketing of, hey, come to this location in Florida. We didn't have to do any of that marketing. What we wanted to do is offer a different experience. So 6 years ago, our realtor, Alexis, called me up and said, "I need you to come and look at this beach property." And you and I are from California. When you say beach property, that's like minimum $5 million. So I'm like, we're not ready for that. She's like, "Jason, it's $235,000. I said, "What? A beach property for what?" So I grabbed Jules. We immediately went out to Reddington Beach, ended up buying three of them, renovated them, operated them as short-term rentals, loved the community, and being in boardroom, that's what did it. Seth was like, "Jay, how much would these three properties be worth if you tore them down and built new?" And I was like, a friend of mine actually doing that right now. They would be worth like $3.5 million each. He's like, "Dude, you're sitting on $10 million in portfolio value. Like what are you doing?" And that's what happened. And Jules and I we knew eventually we were going to tear them down. But after we were in Belize, I was relaxed. Seth is very gregarious, go-getter, rah-rah type of guy. And he said it to me and it just clicked. So when we got back from Belize, it was like full steam ahead. And we completed all the original 3 we bought in 2018. We completed the 3 of those, and guests can come and stay at them. So pretty exciting. Another 3 on the way. And then we own another 25 that we're going to tear down and build. And our funders are happy, the community's happy, we're happy, our guests are happy, and it's been a great ride. And like you said, our
That's
Building the
awesome.
Bay show, Joey Banks and I are doing a show called Building the Bay, just to show people, how we're building these luxury beach homes in the community, and they're FEMA compliant, so they're 12 feet, off the ground. You can't have any living space on the first floor. You could just have a garage, indoor patio, and we have a game room. Jules and the team turn the first floor into a game room as well. And then you have the 6 bedrooms and 4.5 baths on the upper 2 levels. And you have beautiful views.
So what's that? Yeah, what's that look like? You mentioned funders. So for people that want to invest, right? We have a ton of real estate agents and just people generally interested in the real estate space. Like if they're interested in investing in something like these projects, right? Short-term luxury rentals in Florida, what does that look like?
We have a pretty good structure where they can, make an investment, like as we have on the first 3, and then after we finish the construction, we refinance the construction loan, and our funders have had the opportunity of receiving their capital back, or they have an opportunity of rolling it into the next set of deals. So 10 of our 13 on the first 3, they rolled it into the next set of deals. They were happy with our performance. So it's been good all around for everyone. Even the luxury realtors are happy that we're building this product, because they have clients that want to build in Redington Beach, but they want to come and experience Redington Beach first, so they can come and stay for 2 or 3 weeks at our properties and get the feel of it.
That's a smart thing too. A lot of people, whether they're relocating or they just want to do a vacation home, a lot of people just like literally throw a dart at a map, like, all right, that's where we're going. But that's smart for somebody to come out there and stay for a week or 2 or 3 to really understand, like, all right, what are we actually buying here? Because, a lot of times we've visited these different cities around the country, and you've been there for like 2 or 3 nights. It's a different animal when you're there for 2 or 3 weeks, right? You really get to understand. And some of these cities are so small that in 2 or 3 days, it feels big. In 2 or 3 weeks, it feels really small. So it's a really good idea. If you're watching this, you're thinking about investing somewhere, like go out there for more than 2 or 3 days. Like go out there for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like make sure that's where you want to invest, and talk to people, talk to the local realtors, talk to the, short-term rental managers, talk to all the people, really get a good feel for what you're investing into before you jump into it. Or, right, invest with Jason and the team, right? They've done all the work for you, right? They've done everything. They have it all lined up. The construction crews, they're connected with the cities. They already own most of these properties, right, that they're converting. So that's the cool thing when you invest into a company like this, is all the work is done for you. You can come in a very passive type capacity where you're not having to do much other than just help fund these deals, which is really attractive. I know we have people, especially like, doctors and attorneys and stuff like that, where they have the money, they don't have the time, but they want to make that money grow. It's going to be a really good opportunity as well.
Yeah, it not only can they participate in the deal, they can come and stay. I mean, some of our folks, they made an investment and then they came out to see the property once we started building it, and they couldn't believe how big they were. So I always encourage people to come out and take a look, because seeing it in person is different than seeing it on my IG account or photos and social media and website and stuff like that. But it's a great community. It's a friendly community. There's a lot to do. We're only 35 minutes from Tampa. So if you want to go, you're in the sports, you're in the theater, our region has a lot to offer. But we're going to continue building these luxury beach homes and deliver a quality stay to families that want to come and enjoy, and people that want to participate financially. We'll just keep repeating what we've done already.
I love it. Well, yeah, if you guys are listening or you're watching the show, you want to get connected with Jason and team, just send me a DM. I'll make an introduction for you at Kyle Whissel on Instagram. We keep it very simple. Send me a DM, and then I'll make an intro personally to Jason and the team. You can learn a little bit more about what they're doing down there in Florida. See if that's a fit for you. Or you could just pick his brain about the NIL like I do.
Hey, I love it.
It's so crazy.
I was talking about it about an hour before I came on. We were having discussions about NIL and things of that nature, and yeah, it's an exciting time. I'm so happy for these young athletes. The conversation we're having before is they can make enough money in college where they don't have to go and play pro. Start.
That's the people I'm talking to here in San Diego. I mean, these kids, like, you can't fault them because there's only 2 rounds in the NBA draft. Like, most of these kids are not going to get drafted, so they're never going to see that NBA money. But they're getting NBA money now while they're in college, so make the damn money, right? Like, you're never going to – most of these kids will not make the league, right? What is there – how many teams are there? 30? Is there 32 in the NBA? Right? So 64 kids are going to get drafted. And obviously there'll be some undrafted free agents, whatever. But, like, only 64 are going to get drafted. I mean, hell, there were 68 teams just in the tournament, right? There's stars everywhere. Only 64 kids are going to get drafted. Support.
They're on the international flavor now, too. So you're talking about 64 throughout the world, not just the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah, because now it's like a quarter of the kids getting drafted are international. So really, only 3/4 of them are coming out of, U.S. colleges, which is crazy. Cool. Well, before we wrap the show, Jason, one of the things we always like to do is our Whissel widget of the week. This is something we utilize in our business, saves us time, makes us more money, or have a little bit more fun. What do you want to share with the listeners today?
Well, what I want to share is with the Whissel widget is obviously everybody is into AI and this, that, and the other, all this AI stuff. And yes, we're moving in that direction. But I'm a big infrastructure person. So what has worked really well for our company is, tools that don't cost a lot, but that are readily available. So my time is important. So instead of getting a bunch of spam calls, my phone, I get, they can find out that we're buying. So I get wholesalers calling, I get lenders calling, I get all these calls. I don't know these various numbers. Well, a couple weeks ago, one of our funders introduced me to his call blocking app that he uses. And I told him I was looking for a new one. Mine wasn't working very well. And he introduced me to YouMail, YouMail. Man, I've been using it for like 2 weeks. I literally have not received one spam call. I literally have not. I used to get probably 6 to 8 per day. I do not get any more spam calls. So if you're looking for a good spam call blocker, today, and it's like $7 a month or $7.99 a month. It's called YouMail, and I love it. It is working very, very well for me at this point in time. So that is my Whissel widget offering that I can attest to. Ken is, don't be recommending stuff you haven't used before. I'm using YouMail, and it's working quite well. So I can attest to that.
Cool. Well, I'll go down the same path on a phone one. The service that I use is called Lex, L-E-X Reception, and it replaced my voicemail. So if you call my phone, you will never hear a voicemail. I've did a little, analysis, and I found that when people get the voicemail, 3 out of 4 people hang up and don't leave a message.
Yeah.
And I switched to a company called Lex Reception, which is a live US-based receptionist. And now 3 out of 4 people do leave a voicemail. And then the beauty of it, of those 3 out of 4, I get a text, I get an email, I get an app notification of the email or the voicemail. And it's not even a voicemail. They're actually asking a series of questions. So I could teach them, like, if this, then that, right? Ask, are they interested in buying or selling real estate? What's the address? Blah, blah, blah. So I can give them as many questions as I choose to. And then they will send me the message. And then half the time, the message, I could just delegated out to somebody on my team. I didn't need to take that phone call. So now I'm getting more messages, and I'm able to screen them and not waste time on things that aren't relevant to me. So Lex reception has been great. If you guys want it, lex.kylewhissel.com. I think they have a discount or something they set up for those of you guys that are listeners of the show. So check that out, lex.kylewhissel.com. With that said, Jason, it's been a blast, man. I know you're about to jump into a meeting here to maybe get some more investors in your projects down there in Reddington Beach. Check them out on socials. Check out the show, too, Building the Bay, which if people want to get some insight into what you're doing, it's on Insta. Check it out. I've been following some of the stuff you guys are doing. It's really, really cool. With that said, Jason, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. If you enjoyed it, make sure on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. If you got some questions, throw them in the comments section. Subscribe to the show if you want more of our content. And if you are listening on a podcast platform, make sure subscribe on there. And if you got 2 minutes, write a little review about your biggest takeaway from today's episode. With that said, I'm Kyle Whissel. He's Jason Matthews. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Whissel Way Podcast.